Tesla, my Tesla. Oh baby, buy Tesla stock and don't stop. This is going to be a fun video here today. We're about to go very in-depth on Tesla and why this stock is a buy, why it has tremendous upside over the next several years in this video. It's a Tesla focused video. At the end of the video, I want to go through Cathie Wood and her new price target. She just went on CNBC here today. She's predicting Tesla stock is going to be $2,600 a share in 5 years from now. The stock as of today is $180 something. Her bull case for the stock is $3,100 and her bear case is $2,000 a share. That would be over a 10x even in the bear case scenario. So we'll go through all that in depth in this video and I'll share my opinions and perspectives in regards to that. I appreciate y'all joining me as always. Thanks so much for being here. All I ask in return, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed here to the channel. That's it, folks. Let's get into this, okay? First off, we are starting to get the boogeyman out of the house now at this point in time. First one up here, obviously here today, big news came out. Tesla shareholders vote to reinstate the Elon Musk $56 billion pay package. Now, this was something that was agreed upon in 2018. Obviously, miraculously, Elon pulled it off and, hit all the growth levers he was supposed to hit, and then a Delaware judge got in the way in this situation, right? And so shareholders had a vote again, and they voted for keeping the pay package, right? So major drama now over. Now, from my understanding, this does have to still go back to the court, but this is a pretty wrapped up situation. And also, the only reason, let's be very clear about this, the only reason this became a boogeyman for Tesla and why it became scary is people thought that if the Tesla shareholder base voted against this, there was a thought process that Elon Musk would actually leave the company. And my opinion always on that was I don't think he was going to leave, but I would tell you, I would much rather have Elon around than not have Elon around, right? When you have a great CEO that's done, to be quite frank, many miraculous things over the years, you want to keep that person around, right? And so this gets that boogeyman out of the way, right? And this was a huge point of drama, right? You had certain shareholders that had went out of their way and voted for this package that now wanted to basically take back the package. It was a whole ordeal. It's over. It's over. That's big, okay? Second boogeyman that's about to go bye-bye is Tesla's revenues recently had gone negative, right? Which, is something that's incredibly rare, pretty much never happens for Tesla. That boogeyman is going to be going bye-bye very, very soon here. If we look at the September quarter, analysts have Tesla getting back to growth in terms of revenue and in the December quarter as well. And so I'm expecting Tesla to get back to growth as well. And so we got one more quarter of revenues being down, and then that boogeyman's going bye-bye as well, which a lot of people just don't feel comfortable investing in Tesla when the revenues were going down there, right? And the third boogeyman that's about to go bye-bye is around margins, right? Margins have gone down considerably over the past year or two, and that's because Tesla decided to keep dropping price, and that was a move Elon Musk and the management team wanted to do, right? To basically just take market share in a tougher demand environment. And so they did that. And it hurt margins considerably. But the good news is my expectations are the margin problem, the margins eroding, that's going bye-bye as well. And I believe actually in the back half of this year, you'll start to see margins uptick again for the company. And that's huge because the chart is self-explanatory. It's been quarter after quarter after quarter of these margins going down. And so we got this last quarter to get through here. And then from there, I'm expecting margins to start to slowly increase, which I can tell you is a huge thing for the stock price because no one wants to invest into a company that their margins are in free fall and they just keep going down. People want to feel confident that the margin story in regards to stock, especially a lot of Wall Streeters, is getting better and better and better. And so we're about to get rid of the third boogeyman as well. And those are the three boogeymen in regards to Tesla, which brings out a new day, a new fresh day, right? For the first time in a long time, it feels like the sun is starting to rise once again for Tesla, and it had been a very dark night for a long time. Really like the past, I would say like 2 years had been pretty darn dark for Tesla, and it just seemed like everything just continued to get worse and worse and worse. And I feel like we're finally at a moment where we're on the right path again. The sun is coming out, right? Now, in regards to Tesla, right, we got to be very clear about this company and what they've transformed this company and done over the last few years. I mean, you go back to 2018, the company did $21 billion of revenue. This past year, they did almost $97 billion in revenue. Just an unbelievable increase that you're not going to see very often. I mean, that's ridiculous. The gross profit went from $4 billion to $17 billion plus for Tesla. And keep in mind, last year they had already done a bunch of the price drops and whatnot, right? So that's still incredible. That's over 4x of gross profit. Over 4x in that short amount of time. That's incredible that this company pulled that off, right? Now, meanwhile, Cybertruck, the most talked about, hyped vehicle to ever come out of any company, just to be quite frank, right? The Cybertruck, if we go back to the end of last year, there was a lot of negative articles out there that was put out around Cybertruck, and even into the beginning of this year, right? Cybertruck manufacturing is a disaster, Tesla insiders say. This article came out back in December 2023. I mean, just the thing is with Tesla, and you got to understand this. Everybody has to understand this watching this video right now. The thing you got to understand about Tesla, anything that happens with Tesla, especially negative, gets so much publicity and so much limelight because it gets a lot of clicks, it gets a lot of attention, it gets a lot of views, it gets a lot of people sharing it around. And so whenever Tesla has any sort of issues, whether it be ramping a new vehicle, whether it be, a certain part, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as it's got Tesla attached to it, it gets out there and everybody gets to see it, right? I mean, there's people I know that don't even really care that much about Tesla that will all of a sudden come to me and be like, oh, I heard with Tesla, blah, blah, blah. It's always some negative thing as well, right? Just because they heard about it when they went on Google or whatever they went on, right? So that's the important thing you got to understand. But here we are, right? And guess what? They got through the problems, and guess what? Cybertruck is ramping very nicely now at this point in time. Very, very nicely. And you're starting to see more and more of these on the road. I can tell you, I live in Vegas, right? And I see more and more of these on the road. Seems like every single week. And so Cybertruck is going to get up to mass production. And the thing with Cybertruck is they got years of ramp ahead, really, when it comes to Cybertruck in terms of, I don't even know where the top is for Cybertruck, but it's so far from now. And they'll be able to bring down price point on Cybertruck over time as well. Don't be surprised if eventually you're able to get a Cybertruck for $60,000 out the door. Don't be surprised at all, okay? People didn't think Tesla would be able to bring down its price on the Model 3 and Model Y the way it has, and they've done it. And they still make money off those, right? And so Cybertruck, long term, I think it's actually going to be a much larger volume vehicle than a lot of people are expecting. A lot larger volume, right? Now, look at right now. This is Tesla always thinking outside the box. And that's the thing you got to understand. When you're betting on Tesla, you're betting on a company that is such a thinker outside the box that's ridiculous. Like the things this company does, the way they think is so different, man. It is so different. Tesla is building a Cybertruck-only tunnel under its Tesla Gigafactory. Tesla reportedly plans to autonomously ship Cybertrucks underneath a nearby highway in its $1.2 million tunnel. So yeah, they're building this tunnel out. And so from my understanding, so if you look, the Cybertruck factory, or I shouldn't say the Cybertruck factory, I should just say the Texas Gigafactory here is over here. Then you got this highway that divides everything. So it looks to me, and they want Cybertrucks over here, so it looks to me like they're actually going to build a tunnel from here to over there, right? It's just Tesla always thinking outside the box. I always appreciate, that. And you got to understand, when you're dealing with a company like that, the products and services this company is going to come out with over the next 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years are going to be incredible. And the products and services you don't even see today, right? That's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with a company that thinks very differently. Now, that leads us to, we're less than 2 months away from the big Robo taxi day. It's a huge day in the history of vehicles. It's not a huge day in the history of Tesla. This is a huge day in the history of transportation. Let's be very, very crystal clear about that. Huge day. Now, this is obviously going to be huge for the stock price in the short term, but this is what I care more about is what this means for the business model long term. Now, we don't know exactly what the vehicle is going to look like. My guess has always been for years that the Robotaxi will be 2 seats, and that will be the main one. And they'll probably have a bigger version of some sort of Robotaxi as well, but the main one will be a 2-seat, probably get anywhere from 150 miles to maybe 200 miles, and be 25K or under. And so this is a huge day. It's monumental. And it's really going to get the focus off of all the crap that Tesla's really had to go through over the last 2 years and really get talking about what Tesla has going for it over the next 2 years and the next 20 years, right? Now, when it comes to FSD, this technology gets better and better and better. I've personally used it. And when it comes to this technology, they're deploying it in such a clever way here recently in the past couple months, was something I suggested last year, which was they should give a free trial to all their customers, right? And they've done that now at this point in time. So it's allowed them to collect a lot more data while using the full FSD, right? And then they can use that data to train their models better and better so the technology gets more perfected, because obviously this has to be not only safer than humans, but dramatically safer. I believe it's already probably there, but they have to get it even to another level to get these robo-taxis all out and about, right? You can't just have it without the FSD. Like, the whole point is having full FSD in regards to this. So when I look at this overall, this is a huge, if we want to think about the future of transportation, this is as big as it gets, right? I mean, literally going from, we've been driving cars for 100 plus years now at this point in time, and going from humans driving cars and crashing into each other to these vehicles being able to drive near perfect, right? And accidents happening very few and far between. I mean, wouldn't it be incredible if, when it comes to an accident in a vehicle, if it was so rare, it would be like something happening with an airplane or something like that, right? That's the type of level we need to get to. Right now, it's a free-for-all out there, and we know what the stats are. If you ever looked up the amount of people that are injured or unfortunately pass away in an automobile accident, it's dramatic. Now, in regards to the monetary value of this, right, I mean, I can't think of anything bigger in probably the history of automobiles than this, in terms of what it does to increase a company's true worth and true value over time, right? Because a robo-taxi fleet, the ability to, get one of those from your phone to come pick you up at your house or wherever and take you wherever, right? And it drives you around, and Tesla takes a service fee, that's massive. But also just for people in everyday life that will want this as a monthly plan, essentially, right? So FSD, absolutely massive. They're making great progress on this, and they're going to continue to make great progress. And the NVIDIA chips are helping out substantially. And guess what? NVIDIA is going to keep making better chips, and Tesla's going to keep making better chips. So the improvement of the technology is going to get exponentially better over this next year or two, right? Now, Tesla also in China, very important. Tesla clears another hurdle to launching full self-driving in China. So they're going to use Baidu to upgrade their mapping software. And when I think about Tesla's biggest market long term, it is China. That's their biggest market long term, in my personal opinion. U.S. is always going to be huge for them. Obviously, Latin America can be huge for Tesla long term, right? And certainly, the United States. But China is the biggest, in my opinion. You're talking about 1.3 billion people. You're talking about more and more people entering the middle class. It's a very, very competitive market. We all know that, right? But Tesla needs this incredible amount of data that they can get there to make their systems even better, right? And so this is a huge opportunity for Tesla, and I'm looking forward to seeing robo-taxis in China as well over the coming years, right? Now, this all leads us to the subject of services, right? Services and other revenue. Think about this for a moment, right? They just did the huge FSD trials to so many of the customers over the last couple months. Now, how many of those customers are going to keep full FSD, right? The full self-driving, maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 20%, maybe it's 30%, maybe it's 50%. I don't know. All I know is it's a large number. And then that's an incredible business opportunity, an incredible profit machine. Because think about it, like whenever you get FSD from Tesla, it's not like Tesla's having to necessarily really spend more money on that. It's a software. It's not like it's some hardware they got to ship to you, like, oh, here's a new tire for you. No. Okay? And so this is all like straight profit. And so you're going to likely see the services and other revenue line item explode over this next year in a very substantial way, right? Now, when we look at this line item, it went from under $1 billion a quarter to now they're doing well over $2 billion a quarter in regards to this. And this is just going to get bigger. I mean, as there's more and more vehicles out there, it's going to be, and the vehicles get older, there's going to be issues that happen with them. Going to mean Tesla's going to have that services opportunity. You obviously have Supercharger network that we'll get to shortly, right? And then you have, things like FSD, things like the satellite maps. Oh my gosh, the satellite maps. It's like once you have the satellite maps, it doesn't look good once you get off satellite maps. So that's something I've always kept on my Teslas because I'm like, it just looks so freaking good. It's incredible how well it looks on the huge screen in your car overall, right? And so, just opportunities on opportunities for that services category over this next 5-10 years. Now, additionally, you can't compete with Tesla. When you're talking about what they've been able to bring down the price of the Model Y to in the Model 3, you can't compete with these guys. And I got to say, I went to the Tesla service center here in Vegas a couple times in the last couple weeks because I needed to get something fixed for a car. And one time it was for my Plaid, 2 minor things. One thing they were able to fix right there on the spot. One thing I had to take it back for, right? I can tell you both times, the service center was hopping. And when I say hopping, it wasn't just like, oh, there's a lot of people there for service. It was for people like ordering Teslas, like looking at them overall. And this particular location for Tesla, this isn't in like a mall or something like that. This is like way out of the way near other auto dealerships. So if you're going there, you're going there for a reason. It's not like you're going to walk around the mall and eat a pretzel. Like there's a lot of Tesla stores like that, right? And so I tell you, that place is busy. And so there's just a lot of people looking into Model 3, ordering Model 3s and Model Ys, and you can't compete with them. No one can compete with them in terms of price. The only people that can compete with them are the players in China, and that's it. No one else can compete with the Model Y and the Model 3. How good those vehicles are, the technology, the safety, everything across the board, you can't compete with them. And so I just think over the next 5 years, it's going to be absolutely impossible to be any other auto manufacturer and compete with the Model Y and Model 3. You just can't do it. If you're selling internal combustion engine vehicles, your cost of everything is going up and up and up and up and up, while Tesla's been able to bring down cost more and more and more, right? So if you're trying to sell internal combustion engines, you stand no chance over the next 5 years. Now, if you sell electric vehicles, guess what? You also stand no chance unless you're a Chinese company. Because think about it. All the European players and American players, they're dealing with massive losses on their electric vehicle business right now. And those particular companies, they can't bring down price. They're already getting destroyed on margins. And the problem is they can't bring down price. Why can't they bring down price additionally? You can say, well, why don't they just eat the margin? They're already eating margin. It's not that. It's that if they bring down those EV prices too far, it starts to compete with their internal combustion engine vehicles, right? And you can't have that. Let's say Ford says, you know what, we want to sell a massive amount of these Ford Lightning, so let's just drop the price to something ridiculous. And yeah, we're going to lose, $50,000 in a Lightning, but who cares? They can't do that because then it steals sales away from internal combustion engines. So then they go from, here's our money-making cash cow, but we undercut them with this EV that we already lose a fortune in. Like, that doesn't make financial sense. Like, you have to be insane to do that, right? So in Europe and in the United States, you can't compete with them. You can't. The only ones that can compete with them are the Chinese, and that's it, right? And the Chinese can't obviously come over to the States. So that's a problem for them, right? So Tesla's just in a really, really good position overall when it comes to that, right? Now, additionally, you're looking at gas prices that aren't so cheap right now. Regular is around $3.50 a gallon. This is with oil in the low 80s right now. The latest I looked, oil was like $82 a barrel. I mean, imagine if oil was $100 a barrel, you would easily be paying $4.50 right now a gallon, if not over that. So they're keeping oil prices low at the moment, but I'm telling you, like, if this oil price goes up in any substantial way, it's going to be like lighting a fuse. Yeah, no pun intended in regards to the situation, talking about fuel and lighting a fuse. But it's going to be like lighting a fuse for Tesla, because as more and more people just can't afford gas prices, they're going to look more and more seriously at EVs overall. So that bodes very, very well for Tesla as well. That leads us to the Supercharger network, right? Which the Supercharger network is already a revenue opportunity for Tesla. But think about it. The more vehicles that hit the road, the more superchargers that are going to happen. It's just simple math, right? And so Tesla's going to make more and more off of existing vehicles, and then somebody sells their Tesla to somebody else. So somebody buys a used Tesla, let's say a used Model 3 for $20,000 in the secondary market, right? And that person goes and buys a new Model 3 or Model S or whatever, right? Okay, now there's two vehicles in the market instead of just one. And also, additionally, what you're going to see over this next few years is all the other auto manufacturers, basically, the other ones that are going to try to compete with Tesla, they're going to need to use Tesla's Supercharger network. So what you're already seeing is Tesla sign these deals with all these auto manufacturers to essentially let them use a Supercharger network. So let's say hypothetically, I don't know, Ford or Volkswagen or GM or whoever, let's say they're actually really successful in selling EVs over this next 5 years, which I think there's a big question about that, but let's say it happens, right? Well, Tesla's going to end up making a bunch of money off that because those people are going to end up needing to use the Supercharger network, right? The Tesla Supercharger network. So that makes Tesla a little bit of a utility play. And so that's why when people talk about Tesla's an auto manufacturer, yes, but they're also a utility company, and they're also a tech company, and they're also an energy infrastructure company, right? When they talk about all that, like, you kind of put the piece together and you're like, yeah, Tesla ends up being a conglomerate. It's a very well put together conglomerate, so it all feeds each other. But when you actually look at it like business by business segment, it's like, dang, they are kind of like just one massive conglomerate at the end of the day. So as all those new vehicles from other auto manufacturers do end up hitting the road, it's going to be another revenue opportunity for Tesla overall, right? Now that leads us back to the robo-taxi. You've got to understand how big this opportunity is. And I don't know if this vehicle is going to be priced at like $19,900 or $25,000, but what I can say is there's going to be so many buyers for this vehicle, it's going to be ridiculous. And it's going to be around the world. But one is Tesla's going to have its own fleet of these vehicles. It's going to be a certain amount. I don't know how many Tesla will do. Maybe they'll add to the fleet as the years take on. But my guess is Tesla will have some level of their own fleet of these Teslas, and you'll be able to order one right from the Tesla app, right? And then also, I think Uber is going to buy a ton of these. I think Lyft is going to buy a ridiculous amount of these as well. Those two companies, because it's almost like an existential crisis to those companies. Because let's think about it. If Tesla's undercutting these guys compared to a traditional Uber ride or a traditional Lyft ride, let's say we're 4 years in the future, right? Well, people are going to order these, right? If it's far cheaper, like let's say it's a $5 difference each time, or a $3 difference, or a $7 difference, people are going to go with the Tesla. So Uber and Lyft are going to have no choice but basically to order a ton of those as well, right? Then a ton of rental companies are going to order these as well. And then you're going to have a ton of regular people that want to buy these as well because they either want to drive it or they want to be kind of like a landlord, right? Kind of like somebody would, they buy a house and they rent it out to somebody. You know, you're going to have regular people that are like, I want to make this investment in this because this car can make me, $150 a day or $200 a day or $300 a day or whatever, right? And they'll be able to do the math on that. And they're like, okay, service is going to be this, I'm going to have to spend this much time kind of making sure the car's clean and these sorts of things, right? And so, I think you'll have a lot of people doing the math on it, and they'll be like, this makes a lot of financial sense, which will then just absolutely decimate the auto sector in terms of everybody else, because there will just be no real need for so many of the vehicles that's out there today in terms of just regular commuting vehicles, right? There'll still be a need for like big trucks, stuff like that, right? Because you're like, I need to haul this big thing around and I can't do it in one of these little robo-taxis. Yeah, there'll still be needs for that, right? And there'll still be needs for like, let's say you want to get around with a large family. But in terms of the masses don't need all that. They don't need that, right? And so this is just an incredible opportunity. And the thing is, the price point is going to be so low that this vehicle is going to be able to take off in markets that Tesla, in let's call it areas and places that Tesla is not even a big player in. Think about India. I think India is a perfect example. Is Tesla a big player in India right now? Absolutely not. But once they get this vehicle in the market to mass production, could India become a massive market for Tesla? Absolutely, right? Think about India's wealth growing over this next 5, 10, 15, 20 years in terms of their middle class, and then you think about Tesla having a vehicle at $20K price point or $25K, and robo-taxi opportunity, my gosh. And the services fees Tesla's going to make off of all that, right? It's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. No, that leads us to semi. The semi, a lot of people forget about the semi. Tesla plans to ramp up Tesla semi deliveries to PepsiCo. And this is just another, you think about how valuable this business will be over time. It's not just about Tesla selling semis and then the service of those semis over time, right? And the battery replacements and things like that. It's also, who does the most driving? It's truckers, right? And if there's any truckers watching this right now, you know how many miles you log. It's insane. So if you're talking about getting that real world data, FSD type data, right? there's nothing better than this, because the amount of miles a trucker drives on a weekly basis is ridiculous. Way, way, way more than an average person. I can tell you that much. And it's not even close. And so if you got a trucker driving 8 hours straight, the amount of miles and situations that the machine's going to be able to learn over time is insane, right? And so when I take you through all that right there, you start to begin to understand, like, Tesla opportunities are unlimited over this next decade. I mean, there's just opportunities everywhere. And once again, Tesla's going to come out with products over the next year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years that they don't have in the market right now, that we haven't seen yet, that we're not even talking about. What I just laid out is what's known right now. I mean, imagine what's going to come out over this next 5, 10 years for this company. So there's growth levers all over this company. Oh, and I forgot. Did you know Tesla has a big energy generation business as well? And that's a huge business that's been growing off and taken off. So I put this slide together about all the growth levers, and I was like, oh, the energy business as well. How did I forget that? And so it goes to show you that there's just opportunities all over Tesla, right? And we'll get to Cathie Wood's price target, in my opinion, on that in just a moment. But when I think about a stock that just is a phenomenal setup, right? And I think about, like, when I get scared of a company, I get scared. If I ever own a company, if I ever own a stock, the only thing that usually scares me is if I feel like other competitors are going to eat into their moat, and that's where SWOT analysis comes in: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? And when I look out there, do I feel anybody is coming after Tesla? No. They might be trying to, but they're just not. They're not making up any ground. If anything, Tesla's lead is expanding. Meanwhile, Tesla's coming for everybody. And so when I look at it overall, I mean, it's just an incredible, incredible company with an incredible opportunity. And the stock's been down for years now at this point in time. You don't get that very often. But we got that dynamic right now in the market, right? And so Tesla's absolutely a buy, and pretty incredible opportunity there. And that leads us to Cathie Wood, right? Absolutely incredible what she said today. She's talking about a $2,600 price target. Now, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, there must be a 10-year price target. It's a 5-year price target. So her expectations is this stock is $2,600 in 5 years from now. And once again, the stock today is $180-something. Okay, it's under 200. Let's just call it that. Her bull case for the stock is $3,100, and her bear case for the stock is $2,000. Okay, and once again, this is all 5 years from now. So first off, as I put here, it's wild. It's absolutely wild, her numbers there, and she's too bullish. But with that being said, I think there's a lot of room for Tesla's stock price to have upside over this next 5 years, right? A lot of upside. But she goes too crazy with it, and I think this, no disrespect to her, but I think this is why she has trouble getting a lot of credibility, and why a lot of people laugh at her and those sorts of things, right? Because you can't slap a $2,000 bear case on a stock. That's over a 10x in the next 5 years. That's not a bear case, okay? Like, that's like saying, that's like going into the convenience store and, you know, there's a scratch ticket there, and you're like, oh, I could win up to $100,000 on the scratch ticket right here. Oh, give me one of those for $20, okay? And the person behind the counter says, oh, you know, what do you think's the worst case scenario? Instead of you saying, you know what, I think my worst case scenario is I lose $20, or maybe I break even, you say, my worst case scenario here is I'm going to win the $10,000 prize and not the $100,000 prize. I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? And that's what it is with Cathie Wood here, where she just puts out these insane price targets that is just like, what are you doing? Like the bear case at 2,000? Your bear case cannot be a 10x plus for a stock. It just can't be, right? And so even if let's say this came true, this scenario, which by the way, as a Tesla shareholder, I hope it happens. It's not, by the way. But let's say it happened over the next 5 years and this stock is $3,100, $2,600, right? It's still a delusional call. Let's be very, very clear about that. It's still delusional. No different than I live in Vegas. We could go down the craps table right now and somebody could say, I'm going to double up my money 5 times in a row on craps. And maybe they pull it off, but I mean, more than likely it's not happening. And so that's what Cathie Wood, she just, you know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. You know, and I got to call it the way I see it. A lot of people don't like it when I call it the way I see it, right? They want me to just, you know, say, oh, yeah, we got that, baby. $3,100. This is going there. $2,600. Woo. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, her bear case is too low. Oh. You know, some people want me to do that. I'm not that guy. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to keep it real. and I'm here to call baloney when I want to call baloney. Doesn't mean Tesla's not a great opportunity in the next 5 years, because it is. But this is just ridiculous. That's what I'll say about that. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Now, with all that being said, there's a lot of money to be made in this stock. Just don't get delusional. That's a problem. That's a problem that happened in the last Tesla bull cycle. Is when the Tesla bull cycle happened, afterward, a lot of people started getting real delusional around the stock, right? And when Tesla reached $1 trillion market cap, people were predicting 3 years from now, 5 years from now, it was going to be a $10 trillion market cap, right? It never came true, because here we are 3 years in the future, and the market cap's like 500 billion or so, right? 600 billion. So the 10 trillion never happened. Doesn't mean it won't happen. Maybe the 10 trillion does happen over the next 10 years, but don't get delusional about this. People want everything to work perfectly in the short term, and it doesn't work like that. You're going to have these ups and downs, and if you've been following Tesla for a long time or been a shareholder like myself for a long time, this company has a lot of ups and downs and peaks and valleys, right? And it is part of the process. It's not up straight. Tesla will go through another major bull run, right? People will start getting too delusional about it, and then Tesla will have a hard period where the business is in decline or something's going on that's hurting profitability, whatever it is at that time. Maybe it's they're launching the Robo taxi fleet, but maybe the margins aren't good there initially or something like that. There will be problems, okay? And the problems people don't really see, and somebody like Cathie Wood's not even looking at those problems, in my opinion, right? So as you own this, as you make money over the many years, just don't get to that delusional state that some people are in, because, man, they go wild with it. Absolutely wild with it, okay, folks? Appreciate you joining me. As always, thanks so much for being here. If you're looking to apply, join my private group. Learn everything I got up here in my blonde-haired head right now. Click the pinned comment down there. You can fill out an application, get access to all my best course curriculums, access to our 6- and 7-figure Discord community, access to our Tesla community, which is one of the best out there. We've had so many people in there that have been Tesla shareholders for 5-10 years that have a lot of knowledge about this company. We're always sharing ideas and news back and forth and things like that. So if you're looking to get access to that, pin comment, fill out an application. We'll see if we can get you in there in the next week or so. Much love and have a great day.